Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Spirit-Centered Business. We have our mascot, this is Link, with us today. He makes a few little appearances, but he just needed to be on camera, even though I really have Marion Macleod, my amazing guest today. So Marion, I just need to make one announcement that you already know about. Tribe Talk is open and available. We meet on Tuesdays and Marion is part of it. And it's just sitting around in a living room discussing, the spiritual stuff that we can't talk to with our friends because they think we're off the reservation. So that's what Tribe Talk is, and you can find out all about it at spiritcenteredbusiness.com. Let's see, what is the link? I think it's / it might be just be Tribe Talk. If not, always you can go to the Facebook group, the SCB Tribe, and find out all of the links are over there in the tribe. So without further ado, Link, I think it's time for you to go. You've made your little appearance on camera, and we are going to talk to Marion. Marion, thank you for being here.
Hi, Bralynn. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah. You guys are going to absolutely love what she has to say, but you're going to love her accent too. I'm like, I can just listen to it. She is from Scotland. So tell us about your journey, about what you do and how you're blending the spirit into your business. And then we'll do the big reveal after that. Okay?
Big reveal. Yeah. Well, thank you, Bralynn. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. It's been a long time coming. It's certainly been a journey of sorts, even getting to this place today. And it's great to just come alongside you and to chat like this. I am in the northwest of Scotland, in a little island in the Hebrides. Some people might know them well around the world. They're pretty well known. And I've lived here all my life, apart from 7 years I spent on mainland Scotland. Although I have had the opportunity to travel plenty as well, so I'm not just stuck in this little place, but I keep coming back to it. And part of that is really was really unexpected for many years, because when I was growing up here, I thought I'd be the first of my siblings to run away as far as I could. I loved everything American and South American and everything exotic, and I always thought that would be part of in my destiny. And it has been, but not in the way I expected. All my 3 siblings got to go away, and they live far, far away from where I live. And I'm here, my mother's here, my daughter's here, I'm married here. And we have a very good life here. But many times I have tried my hardest to get off the island and to go further afield and explore, because I felt compressed and small in a small place. Sometimes I felt that I didn't have the pool of people around me that I needed to explore and grow ideas. And I had ideas and visions that these things would be found more readily in the city. So I was always yearning after that. It was never good enough to just be where I was. And at one point when I did live away on the mainland, there was actually in 1999, the first thoughts about doing coaching, life coaching, had come to me. When it was practically unheard of. I used to see it in the back of women's health magazines, and something about it would just capture me. Just, what is that? It looks amazing. What is that? Yeah. There's just sometimes when you have a moment and your eyes meet something that is written on your scroll, and it's way ahead of its time for you. You can't deny there's something that has kicked off, something has happened.
Oh, so that was the way you put that. Yeah.
Yeah, at that time. And it was one of these things that I remember mentioning the relationship I was in at the time, and just basically cut it down and cut it off, and said, called it a load of nonsense. And what kind of, I was working as a chef at the time, and I was I was put off by that. It wouldn't happen now. That's been part of my journey as well, just growing into my own skin. But because I couldn't even explain it to him, I know a lot of coaches have trouble explaining things anyway when it comes to trying to tell somebody what you're doing. It's not just when I said I was a chef and then I was a music teacher, and these are very simple things to understand. But when you tell somebody you're a life coach, you get all kinds of funny looks and all kinds of different reactions. So that went and it sat on the back burner for a long, long time, until I got to a point of desperation here when I was asking the Lord to just kick me off this island. I was wanting to leave with everything in me. I was applying for jobs left, right, and center on the mainland, and it wasn't happening. So I came to a point really of just coming back into really seeking God over it. And I said, Lord, who am I? You know, this was about 2012. Who am I really? What is my purpose here? Because I was hungry seeking these things. And by this point, I wasn't even really in a local church. And, you know, it's a very different dynamic around me, very hard to find fellowship. And the ones I did find fellowship, when I was beginning to have different experiences, it was very hard to just have anybody to come alongside.
Wow. So you've been doing this even longer than I have, as far as being an outsider and kind of navigating by yourself. And yeah, wow, good job.
Yeah, since a long time. In 2007, I've actually, and I don't say that with any pride, because it was certainly a calling out at the time, but I was asked by the Lord to come out of the fellowship in the church where I was. It was very confusing for me. I was didn't realize at the time though, but over the next 5 or 6 years, as I'd go away and meet other people in conferences and things, that I began to understand that the Lord was doing the same to many, many people around the world, around, and that was a strange comfort. You know, he was calling people out to come away, to come unto himself, to really seek his heart, and to go after what was, and then all the talk of scrolls and going after your scroll, and what does this mean? And ever since I was a child, one verse of scripture in Colossians 3 had always been a guide to me, and it was always the Lord saying, whispering to me, Marion, set your eyes on the things that are above and not on the things that are beneath. And I was like, okay, yeah, wow, that's amazing. How? And the only way that he could communicate that to me at the time that I felt I understood it was through my imagination, and entering into that place. And the power and that tool of imagination has served me so well when I have been in bleak places, when I have been retreated into, you know, caves, because I'm not around people who I feel understand me. So you end up living two different existences. You know, the one that you're very comfortable with yourself, and you can have these weird and wonderful conversations with the odd person you sync with. And then there's you and the whole of the rest of the world, and maybe your family, or maybe people who you have to speak on a whole other level. So I didn't have that kind of fellowship for a long time, but it was a beautiful time of just coming into bonding with the Lord and his heart for what he wanted from me. And he spoke to me one day and he said, Marion, he said, you are a professional encourager. I laughed. I laughed so hard, but I really heard him. And I thought that was so funny, because so many times that's what I went around doing. And I says, what on earth is, you can't, that's just so ridiculous. I can't put that on a CV, you know. And that is when he began to talk to me again and reignited that a seed from that spark about life coaching. And so I began to just take a step of faith and did my research, reader of lots of self-help and all this kind of study books, and following every person on the internet that I could, and just enjoying that kind of communication with people. So coming into that, I continued working my own jobs and whatever was available to me here on the island. It's not particularly diverse, but I was fortunate. I had a good post, and on the side, I began to coach, and I never had anything online. And it was always just through a gentle conversation with somebody. They'd be quite interested. I felt in a safe place I could lay down. I would never want to put myself out there. And that was God's gentle way of dealing with me, because the world seemed so big and I seemed so small, and I didn't know how to do it. So when I would start going away to conferences and things for the weekend, I would often go on my own. I wouldn't know anybody. He just did beautiful things. He would just set up conversations with people who were ready to receive and would be interested. And I would hardly have to say a thing, or I wasn't even talking about my business or what I was doing. It was just, what do you do? And it just happened to be the right person at the right time who wanted to connect and who wanted coaching.
Right.
So this went on for the last 5 or 6 years, and I was perfectly okay with that. And then COVID came along, and then travel shut down, and then I really was very much stuck on the island. And everything really dried up. I didn't know what to do. And it was painful to think about what my options were. I can only watch so many videos online. I can only take so many courses, but then action has to be taken as well. So I had sort of laid it all down, and I said to the Lord, if this is really going to be something you need to pick this up again. You need to do, because what is not in me and what is in me, what I can do and what I can't do right now. And he was so gracious with that. Such a strange thing happened. I ended up finding a client. A client found me. I got a message out of the blue from a lovely lady who became a client. And this was just before COVID. And she lives here on the Isle of Lewis, but I've never met her. And she found me through a little post on a forum in South Africa. All the way it pinged to South Africa and back up to the Isle of Lewis. And when she said, "Are you a life coach? Are you still coaching? I found you online." I thought, where did you find me online? I have nothing online, I didn't. But I had been involved in a forum that I had been training with in South Africa. That's who I did my life coach training with. And she had been on the Isle of Lewis. So this was my first personal contact, really, because everything else was done on Zoom online, although I'd meet people at conferences. So that was a real confirmation to me that the Lord was saying, keep on. So I had this one client then at that time. And since then, the Lord just began to speak to me. I began to engage things in the heavenlies. I began to engage my business scroll. I began to look at these things. I was learning and listening to people like Bralynn Newby. I used to watch online an awful lot and listening to podcasts. And it just crossed my mind one day. Well, it was the Lord who really said to get in touch and make an inquiry. And I was excited about that. At the same time, I thought, I have no idea what I'm doing, because that's serious. She knows what she's doing, this lady, And I think I was maybe quite intimidated to get in touch and to put myself in a very vulnerable position when I felt I was coming from nothing and nowhere really. But I know the voice of the Lord in that sense, and I went ahead. So it's actually a year and a month since I began with you coaching. You began coaching me and really taking me from a place where I had stuff all over the place. I had ideas left, right, and center. I had weeks and months and files of ideas and pages, and you taught me how to bring up so much of this together, how to put something together that I can actually help and enable people to step into their own destinies in their business, which was very much in my heart and very much in yours. And the difference I saw was you're a very natural business person. God has gifted you in these ways. He's really empowered you in that arena. You're strong in that sense and in that purpose, you know. And I was exactly the opposite, and I knew it. So, but I love the way God does these things, these foolish things, to confound the wise. And yet we had a meeting of hearts, and uh, you were so patient with me, even in the little things. I was so anti being exposed. You know it. You know it. Um,
I remember. Yep.
that prospect wasn't at all attractive to me. And it's been a long journey coming out of myself. But like as we've been saying and talking, you know, God has good plans for us. He is a good God, and this is not ultimately about us. It's about the revealing of His glory. It's about His glory in us and reflecting that back to Him, seeing His kingdom come. And the more and more I brought that into business, I brought that into my business mindset, I began to see that I can do this. I could do this. I could just take the next step. And what you helped me to do very much was to break things down, to find what I needed to be doing at any one time, taking big ideas like 30,000 feet high and just pulling me back and pulling me down. And there's really something to be said for that, which is what I aim to do as a coach as well. I wasn't particularly coaching just spiritual people, but they're my favorite people to coach. And if there's an opening there at all, whether they're in Christian faith or not, I love going into that space with people, because you can open anyone's heart and imagination just to ask what they see, just to begin to see what somebody else sees, and to reflect that back to into their own world. I think is a very powerful thing to be able to help people to do. And yeah, so that brought me to this point right up until December, and things got busy, and I wondered how it would continue on. And I thank God that you had the opportunity of Tribe Talk as well, which is just, yeah, like a lovely little get together, cozy little sitting room chat, like you said. And there's, you know, people coming along, different people all the time. I'm beginning to meet, and I just thank God for that opportunity as well, and to keep up, um, yeah, the what has been already started, to build upon that, really.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there's a couple different ways to do that, but the Tribe Talk, yeah, it was time to just plain old have a chat. You know, I have the activations where we go up into the spirit realm and we kind of have an agenda to just be working on our business and get strategy and doing that. But Tribe Talk is just like what's going on in your world that you can't really talk about to your, you know, people around you. So it's really a necessary kind of little respite, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, and I had come along to the activation group as well. I was so hungry for it. But what I find very often, things I've joined, is because of this big time lapse we have. It's early morning for you, it's late afternoon for me. And this has always been an issue. But we found this nice timeline, this little gap here that fits in. So we can make anything work then.
Right. And you know that the time thing is it's doable. I mean, we can figure something out. If I have more people who want to be in an activation group, which would be in morning for me, Pacific time, which is an evening for you, I will absolutely, let's just open another instance of it. You know, let's figure out a time that works for everybody. And the same for my peeps in Australia, because that is really confusing. And there was no way that, you know, we have Daryl, who the peeps would have seen last week. And there's no way that the three of us could get on because it's in the middle of the night for one of us. You know?
Yeah.
So for the Australian peeps, the afternoon, my afternoon is their next day morning. So I'm literally a different day than them. And so are you. And so it's it's a challenge, but everything is doable. If it's meant to happen, we'll make it happen. Right. So yeah. I'm glad that you took that step and found us. But more importantly, I'm just so proud of you for stepping out and, like you said, coming out of hiding and really owning that brilliance that you have in you, because you have so much to teach and to share and to transform people's lives through your story. Because I know this much, and I know that you weren't always walking with the Lord, and you had some face plants just like most of us did.
Wild times. Good times.
And the stuff that you've come through, though, people need help with. And that's always the way God designs our story, is that, what we overcame, we're either to help people overcome or avoid so they don't even go there, So I'm so glad that you just are really taking that journey of helping other people with your brilliance. And you've studied so much. You're like me too. You read books and you take classes and you get stuff in you. Yeah, exactly. We're just natural learners, so therefore we have to turn around and teach, right?
Yeah, that's it. And my issue had long been, I felt like nobody wanted to know what I knew.
I know. I hear that all the time, and that was my story too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Exactly. And you've gone and done now for me what you took yourself through as well, and just calling out in me what I needed to be called out when it needed to be called out, and to just have some humility about it, and accept the process, accept the pains of it. You've seen me with tears, you've seen me crying with laughter. It's been a roller coaster, and I wouldn't change it for the world. God has led me into these places and spaces. Big shout out to you. Big shout out to Daryl as well, because the Lord did something very very similar there, where just spoke to me after I had been engaging with the courts of business and finance and learning about these things. Mm-hmm. And he said very simply to me to contact the Aussie guy. I've mentioned this to Daryl before, so he knows. And it's sometimes just one very clear crystal. I heard that moment, like when the Lord said to contact you about coaching. You just know you've heard it. Mm-hmm. You can't put it down, you can't put it away, and to do so, you'd know it would be in disobedience, and you'd be like FOMO. What's going on? Fear of missing. What is it? So that sort of drives you to take a step, and a big step, and then you realize that there really are people out there who see something in you that you kind of know is there, but when somebody calls it out, it's a beautiful thing. And I know the Lord has given me that gift as well, to be able to see the gold in people, mm-hmm. to see their colors, and to see what is in them, and to call it forth, so that it can be expanded and grown and shown to the world. Because we really need to know our times and our seasons right now. It is so important. We have a destiny to unravel, and it's just a very exciting journey to be on.
It really is. And since you started that, we have a destiny, and it's a very important time to know times and seasons. Why don't we just tell people what we're creating? Because the cat's already out of the bag, because Daryl and I talked about it last week. But I just wanted to introduce you to my peeps, because I am so honored that you would partner with me in the Quantum Capacity Business Challenge that we're launching. I know you have so much to bring to the table, and it's just going to really be amazing. And so I really want to talk about our why, my why and your why of why this and why now. I want you to go first, and then I'll come behind. And our whys are a little different, but it's important, because everyone who joins the challenge will have a different why. But there's a lot of similarities. And so okay, so first of all, if this is the first time anyone is hearing about the Quantum Capacity Business Challenge, Marion and I and Daryl and some other teachers are all about the alignment of who we are, our identity, and the positioning of being where God is in your assignment right now. Because there's an assignment is typically like over time. And so where is God right now in your assignment? Make sure that you're in that positioning correctly. And then the next thing is that structure inside you, tearing down structures that you were never supposed to have built patterns and behaviors and belief systems on, and building the structures that can actually support the truth and what God has for you in the business. And then the last piece is the capacity, expanding our heart and to expand those tent pegs so that we can take in more of what God has for us, which includes that, our business is the portal to transfer the wealth, and we have to be able to handle it. So that is what the quantum capacity, because it's all about the spiritual side of your capacity to be able to handle business. So that's in a nutshell, that's what it is. So Marion, why don't you tell people about the why? Why is this so important to you right
now? For me, and as for the body of Christ, I think it's a time where we really need to have our heads screwed on as sons and daughters of God. We really need to get with the program. We really need to be awake.
Right.
If there's anyone sleeping out there, it's wake up time. It really is. It's time to focus and get some discipline around our lives and our habits again, because this is a time where I'm sure we've all noticed our liberties and our freedoms and everything on a global scale are being attacked. They are just, and the majority of people just go along with the flow of everything. And that's been so dangerous to watch. It's been so interesting to watch how, you can infiltrate the minds and hearts of whole nation. 80% of them just walk like sheep towards whatever they're being told to do.
Right.
Not really questioning the source, but trusting government as their God, trusting people who are godless, sometimes who are even communists, who are, have such different ideologies so far from the kingdom of God that it infiltrates their minds, their hearts, their bodies, their souls. And there are so many people walking in fear, such a strong spirit of fear. But for those who are listening in, for those who are inclining their ear at this time, it is the most exciting time. It is a hugely exciting time to be alive. And it's just so, it is the absolute opposite of what the world is showing us right now. We are just on the cusp of everything that is rich and beautiful and powerful and mighty in God, to the taking back and taking down strongholds of the enemy.
Yeah.
Taking back territory of the kingdom. I'm sure we've all heard different versions of the 7 mountains of society, and they're all real, they're all there, and they all need to be occupied, and we need to find our place in that. There's lots of, and if there's a call there at all to business in you in any way, whether it's hear from the Lord, engage your scroll, engage that in prayer, know where He's taking you, into education or family or relationships or home life, or being a great mom, or what is it? Do you bake great cakes? Do you do this? Do you do that? And how is it that to bring these talents, gifts, and callings to the world? has always been something that just I'm hungry for. I get such pleasure out of enabling people to process that and to walk in that. And because I've done these steps too, and sometimes people have been just 1 or 2 steps behind me, and then that pushes me forward. So at this time, it's, although all these things are going on, it's dead serious too. It's really a serious time. Time is fleeting, time is flying, and we have to, although living outside of that, operate within it and take every opportunity to move ahead in the process that God needs us to be moving in right now. And for anybody in business, we need, like you said, these structures. That's such a powerful thing to talk about, because I recognized in me last year that there was quite a number of just structures that were missing. That's why that's not that's why that's not working. But that's okay, because once you know something, you can do something about it. And God steps in so powerfully and mightily, and he shows you what needs to be done, what needs to be put where and when, and how not to be so frustrated with yourself and all of that. So I think in any way that we can enable and help people just get on track, into discipline, into good habits, like a kickstart. I love a challenge. I think a lot of people just love a challenge, especially if there's anything regards business within you. And there is that push. So for me, it's definitely to see whether you're just starting an idea. If you know that it's business you're to be in, whatever business it is, and we can help you establish that. We can help you establish, looking at different ideas, and also wherever you're at, if you're way down the road in business, what's your next steps? Expanding that, because it's not about what I'm advising, or maybe what Bralynn is advising, although that is super valuable. It's about what God is saying and what is written on your scroll at this time. And that is the ultimate number one thing. What is the Lord saying? Where is the way to walk in? We want to walk in his ways, in his plan. And yielding to that is top of the list right now.
Yeah, that's really good. So my why, Marion, I've been pressing in to exactly understanding how the spirit realm works. God has had me read so many books and really just dive in, and almost like every page I'm like, okay, show me about this. And so I sit there and I meditate. What is the truth about this? Or what do you mean about this? Or how the heck do I do this? Because he's given us authority and power beyond anything that we could understand. And the problem is that either we don't know about it, or we don't know how to access it, or we don't know how to use it. And typically, when that happens, we feel like we're powerless. And it's so not true. So there's that. And then there's like how the spirit realm really works. Everything is based on energy. I mean, we've known that everything is energy, but how does frequency of that energy work? And why is it so important when James says, count it all joy? Or there's several other things. I'm not a Bible scholar, so I'm not about to go quote scripture all day long. That's just not me. And yeah, my audience knows that. But anyway, why should we hold joy in our heart? Well, it's because it's a higher frequency than fear and and guilt and confusion and chaos. If you hold joy, even though there's crazy stuff going around you, you hold joy, you hold love above all else. Guard your heart, for out of it flow everything in life, all of the issues, all of the boundaries, everything else. So it's really about that heart. And the heart, science shows, is an efferent organ. It literally puts out much more electromagnetic frequency than even our brain, which is electrical, right? So our emotional and being able to have a stable emotional intelligence is so critical. Oh, I just wrote down a scripture that had to do with that. Let me see if I can
Get it.
I know, right? I have my little teal book of things that I have to say for or remember for spirit-centered business. And let me just see here. Well, it's in Proverbs. Okay, there's just so many. I don't want to waste time doing that. In Proverbs, there's something about he's wise who can maintain your. I'm just going to put it in my words. Maintain your emotional intelligence even during times of trouble. Okay, so there's that. But why? It's all about why. Well, why? It's because the spirit realm works differently than the natural realm. And it's because the spirit realm is more real than the natural realm. So why are we trying to do business the way all of the gurus say, even though God says he's doing a new thing? We're coming into a new era. He's opening up spiritual revelation like never before. I mean, it's new to us. People thousands of years ago knew it, but he's reopening those, and some people call them ancient paths, because it's really ancient knowledge that they knew about. And I always think about when Peter got out of, was set free from prison, and he went to knock on his friend's house. They thought it was his angel. So they were used to seeing angels. It would have been normal to them that an angel would knock on the door. They're like, it's just his angel. Like, it's no big deal, right? They operated in a totally different way in the spirit realm than we do now. We've been so shrouded over by, the Greek mindset of logic, and it's got to look like this, and it's got to, all of that stuff. So there's that understanding how the spirit realm works, and that we're supposed to be doing business in that way. But here's the other why, and I hope I don't start crying again, but this morning even, I had another big cry. Because God right now in this culture and over the world is being mocked. Christians are being mocked. The powers of Satanism, and all of the stuff that goes with it is being touted and lauded and celebrated while God is being mocked. And I just had this holy, just not on my watch kind of moment. So what are we doing about it? What are we doing? The only way that we can have a shift is to have influence. And typically with influence, you need money. You need to be able to fund, stopping the sex trafficking. Why? Everything takes money, right? And that influence. Well, money and influence are a byproduct of having the capacity that we were talking about, and building those structures to be able to house what God has for you in your business. And the only way that you can really be that portal and not implode, if he drops $1 million on you, everyone says, oh, I want $1 million. Yeah, well, what are you going to do with it? Yeah. I guarantee if you don't know how to handle it, it's going to be gone. We have to know how to handle things, and we have to have that internal structure, to be able to handle it. And that comes from intimacy. So you have to know who God is, know who you are, know who he created you to be, know your unique design and your unique assignment. And it all just stems from spending the time and doing, like you said in the very beginning, it's time for discipline. And it's time for us to step up, quit faffing about, like I love that term.
Hey, Lord, I've done a lot of that.
Right? Yeah. And just get her done. And so we're really not even going to be focusing on a lot of the practical nuts and bolts and building stuff in the natural. This is quantum capacity. We're literally talking about everything internal to be able to house what God needs you to house, because he wants your business to be amazingly successful. And successful means you're taking territory for the kingdom, which is an act of war against the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have good strategy when you go into war. Yes, of course you do. It's won by skillful strategy, and that's in Proverbs too. And you're never going to be able to handle it if you don't handle yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
what this is about, and that's my why.
That is so good. I'm reminded a couple of things there was, you know, that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, because that has, I love I've gone alone for so long, just going on alone, just pushing everything else out of the way and seeing how far I can get, because to do this or to bring somebody else, it seems so much hard work to just have the conversation sometimes, rather than just carry on looking for who already understands me, who already knows where I am, rather than, you know, people with Jesus, our example there, he met everybody just right where they were. He had a word in season for everybody, just right where they were.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were talking there, yes, it is a time of engagement, it's a time of war. And I was hearing in my spirit, it's time for R&R. And R&R, but it's not rest and recreation. It's a time for ruling and reigning.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an R&R time. So that's exactly where we need to take it and need to be. And many of us are already walking in elements of that and degrees of that. But it's not an intermittent pastime, which I've been so guilty of as well, stepping in and stepping out, stepping in and stepping out. The high call I really feel on all of this is that it becomes a lifestyle mentality. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a daily thing. It's a ruling and reigning every day. It's walking out like we are the king in our vicinity, the king in our area, the king in our, like the president of my street. You know, like I have that authority to call things that are not as though they are. I have that authority to chase out the darkness. I have authority to loose the light and to see things change. I have authority to speak to fighting cats in my car park at 6 a.m. and have them leave without opening the window, which, you know, the amazing, you know, the Lord said, speak to the black cat. And it was through the window. It was too cold to open. I didn't want to be noisy. And there was a fight going on. And it's just even in these little things, he just shows you have authority over all things. And I whispered behind the window, black cat, move away. And I can't remember if I said in the name of Jesus, but I knew the Lord was communicating. And I saw the cat kind of quiver and respond. And it kind of like began to, it looked to me as if it was talking to the ginger cat who was crouched down by my car. And it was just fascinating. The Lord said, say the next whatever it was, back off, get up against the wall. And everything he did, you know, everything I asked, the cat did. And then I said, black cat, jump onto the fence. The cat jumped onto the fence. This is just a couple of weeks ago. But it's these little things having, and then black cat, leave, go away, ginger cat. And he was just showing me, see, you didn't have any problem doing that. I don't have any problem doing that. You know, it's like, if that was as easy for the Lord to instruct me to do as it would be for something much more seismic. So what he said to me, Marion, don't make it an intermittent thing. It's just because you started the day with the cats. It could be the neighbors next. It could be the government next. It could be your politicians next. It could be your councilman, you know. So that's been a really high call to me, is stepping it up into all of my decisions, becoming far more aware of all these different mountains in my life. And I think the body of Christ now is getting serious. We are really getting serious. We are interested. We are excited. We're spurred on to, because we've seen what the other side, the darkness can do, and the evil that it is producing, and all of this. I mean, you know, like you say, there's so much darkness yet to be come out, and so many people yet to be shocked, because what is happening is just beyond evil that we've ever imagined, like horror movies. And the Lord's going to reveal it all. And it is a time of revealing, but it's a time of revealing the good as well as the evil.
Yeah.
And those with eyes to see the good and to run with it, because we win, Bralynn. We win.
I know.
And it's so exciting.
It is. It is really exciting. It is. Yeah, I get it. There, you know, and then I always think I've been in a group where we've been practicing seeing and communicating in the spirit realm, so that if there comes a time when the technology is shut down, we can still communicate. And so I always think, wow, what if we have to do business this way? If we really get shut down and you can't buy or sell or trade without the mark of the beast, how are we going to do business? How are we going to do this? And it's like, it's all right there. It's all in the spirit realm. You know, we have to be able to do this. And there's maybe a mind, well, not maybe, there really is a mindset shift that needs to happen, that it's even possible.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have to learn how to do it. And the only way we can learn how to do it, it's never going to come from pride. It's never going to come from striving. It's never going to be a parlor trick. And that's been hitting me a lot lately. You know, if I could, like Daryl says, make the wind in your hand so that you could push a car out of the way so it doesn't hit a kid. You know, he closed a door or whatever. But what if I could do that? Is I would never want it to be a parlor trick. Like, hey, look what I can do. You know, it's always got to be, like you said, with the black cat, God directed you to do that. You know, we always want to just see what the Father is doing. So there has to be a capacity to A, believe that it can be done, and then B, how do you do it effectively? You know, and what if we have to do business like this, Marion? What if we are so not ready for that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got to get ourselves sorted.
Yes.
You know, get our quantum capacity done. And
Absolutely.
I like what you said about doing it together, because when we're walking through these 40 days together, and, you know, 6 weeks, whatever it is, 42 days, whatever it is, you know, when we're doing that day over day and building that capacity together, we'll go so much further.
Absolutely. And it's multiplication as well. And it's multiplication in business and multiplication in the kingdom. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that aspect, because he is really calling in the connections. He has been brewing his people in different places all around this globe, like little pots of tea here and there and everything, and he's bringing us all to the party, you know. And it's going to be so good, because one person pulls on the other person, takes out what has been in, and it's not until you have these glorious conversations that amazing things come to light, and that fellowship, that talking together, that, you know, when he delights so much in that. These conversations are written in heaven as in books of remembrance, because we are delighting. He rewards our hunger, our diligence, our seeking. He's rewarding all of that. And those who have any call to any of these things, any of that hunger in their hearts and that desire to connect to the like-minded people just now, to go into that quantum space, that opening up of all of these gates in the spirit, because that's where our world really is. Everything else here is just a reflection, and for this time, and we just have to grow that out and let thy kingdom come, Lord, let thy will be done. And we're seeing it come to pass.
Yeah, we are. Well, I suppose we better get telling people where they can sign up and join us. So we're going to be doing a free, open to the public kickoff, which I've never done this before. I don't know if it's a thing, but God said that this is the thing for us. So and the way we're going to do it is on this Saturday, May 1st, at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. your time, right? UK, 6 p.m. UK. we're going to be doing a Zoom call that just launches the entire quantum capacity business challenge. So that first week is like a prep week. We're not going to be required. There's no requirements as far as the daily stuff to do. It's just kind of getting yourself sorted. We're going to talk about that. And if you want to jump on that free Zoom call on Saturday, May 1st, which would actually be Sunday for your Aussie peeps, and you'll have to figure out the time zone yourself.
Well done.
I don't want to say it wrong. So yeah. Okay. Either that or watch the replay. But anyway, so that is going to be on spiritcenteredbusiness.com/capacity. Make sure that you go there, and that Zoom link will be on there, and you register for the Zoom to be there free. Now, if you already know that you want to get on the challenge, that's also on that page, and you can go ahead and register there and get yourself all set. And when you do that, then we'll be starting to communicate with you and sending you more information about what's needed and how it's going to roll. But do be there for Saturday, May 1st, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Jump on the Zoom call if you can. Watch the replay if you can't. But the only way you're going to get the replay is if you register. So you have to go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com/capacity and register for the Zoom event. And then you will be able to get the replay. Even if you can't be there live, register for it so that you can get the replay. And then, of course, if you want to join us, go ahead and join us. It's at the bottom of the page. So, Marion, is there anything else you would like to share with the peeps before we sign off?
Bralynn, you're such a pro. It's such an honor to be with you. You're always telling me, I'm sure you might. You're always telling me I'm such a goofball.
I am.
That's what you say. And but I love that. I love that. Just that you're disarming. It's easy to come into your company. It's easy to be in your presence. And you have so much experience, so much valuable experience in the business world with your ideas. So much confidence and boldness in that space. And I would just implore anybody who is thinking maybe they're a bit intimidated, because I certainly know what that feels like. Override it anyway. If God says so, you do it anyway. But if there's anything within you that feels intimidated, just know that Bralynn is just such a beauty to behold and to be around. It's a laugh and a half. It's just you're so patient as well. And
it's
Jesus
totally
is
God.
our
Girlfriend is totally God, believe me. I used to be called the Bralynn Wall.
Well, it's like Jesus is your wingman, in all of this, and you're flying alongside him. So it's my honor to be your wing woman in this challenge. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it just occurred to me. One of the things that we're going to be having people do is read, because there's just a paucity of knowledgeable reading people these days. I don't know why, but I think everybody wants to just watch videos and stuff like that. So one of the books that I would highly suggest reading is Proverbs, especially for business, because there's so much in there about wisdom. Get wisdom. If above all else, get understanding, invest in it. It's the most valuable commodity you can have. Buy it. So, it's all about this wisdom. And that's what we want to bring to the table, is this, the quantum capacity of wisdom. I sure need it. That's my cry. So,
yeah, the whole spectrum of God's goodness and his counsel is available to us, all of it. So we all have different aspects of knowing how to tap into that. And when we put all of that in a big pool together, we just draw from deep wells. And I'm just looking forward to meeting anybody who comes onto this challenge. I'm just really looking forward to connect, because it's time. We need to be in connection right across the globe. Let's connect to make that thing happen.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And like we said, if there's people from a majority of people from Australian time zone, we'll change up the time so that you can be there live with us. Well, I guess I would have to do that because it would be in the middle of the night for Marion, but we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Don't feel like, oh, if I do this, I'm never going to be able to participate, because the cry of our heart is for you to participate. I mean, of course. So yeah, don't feel like you're left out if you're in a different time zone. Okay, Marion, we better land this plane. Thank you so much again for being on here and sharing your story and sharing your heart. I so appreciate you, and I so love you. And I appreciate my audience too. And I love you guys. Thank you for your support. And thank you for sharing this episode out there. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. Let your friends know that this challenge is coming if they really are serious about going deeper and building what needs to be built inside, dealing with their stuff, that quantum capacity. Okay, I'm done.
Excellent.
All right, until next time, stay spirit-centered. All right, peace out. Bye-bye.